I forgot to record the volume for this video of me speaking. Today we're going to be playing Latvia on Dummy Nation, and I can already tell you we've won. We did a pretty alright job. We waited for Russia to start making mistakes, just like typical. You know, we typically, whenever we're playing these small countries, we really like to get into Russia, especially whenever we're landlocked and can't get out anywhere. So we're going to cut a little bit deeper into the video where there's some more things going on, and then I'm going to bring back the commentary. It's just unfortunate. I have my mic muted the entire time that I was recording this. This may turn more into the kind of like a highlight video. Someone said that we had done all of the Baltics except for Latvia, and I was super excited to get into this match, but it just didn't really work out. So we're gonna cut to where we start actually taking over Russia. We really want to secure this top area up by the that connects to the Arctic and North Ocean here. And we actually kind of start to lose, which is the most unfortunate part. Russia was extremely weak. We just weren't really able to keep up and keep going in all the way with how fast Russia actually comes back in the early game. But thankfully, we had a few countries that also wanted a piece of Russia and wanted to step in. Germany was a huge opponent here, especially in the late game. We have gone full into tanks, and we started going directly into militia as well, so that we would be able to capitalize early war. And as we go down, there's actually a few countries that are trying to get this last bit of Russia that we were just able to get to and maximize the amount of Russia that we got. Turkey was a pain in my side whenever it came to taking some of the countries, because Turkey always wants as much as possible. So we go ahead, we get Russia, and we try to get all of Russia, but it's still a little landlocked in some of the areas that we went for. So we pull all of our troops back, we recollect, and we go on to the next country after trying to build up a sufficient army. So it was actually super unfortunate. We went and tried to invade Saudi Arabia because they were invading some of our land. And I go over on the map just a little bit, and America is already being taken by France, China, and India. So we lost out on a lot of early game GDP, but we were super surprised that everyone was below 30% GDP capture for the end of the game. We're looking at India, seeing if we could fight India for it. We're checking France. We're not going to fight France, though, because all of the EU is sitting there. We're looking for other places to invade because we're not making enough movement fast enough. And we decide to go after Egypt. And whenever we do go after Egypt, the most unfortunate part is we get kind of slapped. As you'll see here, we get kind of slapped by the US Emirates. France backed off. Everyone pretty much attacked, just wiped the army out midway through getting Egypt. And it's another moment where we just kind of had to back off and get all of our stuff back. We've already gotten our relief for our troops. We gotten all of our military stuff maxed out except for guerrilla tactics. And now we're just trying to build up a small army so that we can go ahead and go on to the next spot to fight. So here we are. We are now deciding to attack Turkey, which caused quite a few issues because there were a few countries that were really friends with Turkey. The biggest problem that we came to is halfway through taking over, Turkey, Slovakia started stepping up, and at this point, I had just recovered some troops from trying to capture Egypt. And then Saudi Arabia starts stepping in, trying to take some of our lower down. We go ahead and peace treaty them, and these troops actually lose in trying to take Turkey. We go ahead and keep consistently building some. And then Germany yet again steps in and tries to take a good bit of what we're going to get out of the situation. And it's not the best having to bounce around. We go ahead and lose all of our troops there. We have more troops building. And then Germany should be stepping in. At this point, it's mainly Slovakia that's fighting me. But if we go ahead and fight Slovakia at this point, we run into a huge problem with the EU, and we would just lose the game. Right out rip, the game would be over. So we go ahead, get our troops, and we go right back in. And right about this time, we start actually getting some help in taking over Turkey. We lose our troops one more time. Now South Korea is stepping in. We're not having a huge fun time. Turkey's regaining land. And we're just trying to really fight with a low amount of troops to keep securing Slovakia. So here's Germany finally touching in. And we go down for the rest of Turkey that is actually up against Kazakhstan, India, and China. And we just barely beat Russia. We're going into smart taxation so that our GDP increases even higher. We definitely do not want to be sitting here just having to build troops after losing and having to build more troops and losing and having to build more troops and losing. And after this, we go and just kind of sit and we start building up more of our troops. We're trying to finish off our smart taxation as fast as possible. As you guys know, when we start military, smart taxation is the last part until we actually swap over and throw all of our money to the wind. So we're just sitting here waiting to get that smart taxation and to go ahead and swap over and gain nothing but money. As you see here, we already have it. We're right there on the brim, and we get it. We're going to go ahead after that, and we're going to build some more troops. As many as what we really can at the time, because we were not sitting too hot in this situation. There were quite a few countries that didn't really like us, and we needed to get out of the situation quick. So at this point, we have built up a few 100,000. We go ahead and peace treaty South Korea so that we can get a nice GDP spike from taking over Saudi Arabia. There's no one really stopping us at all. It gives us a extremely strong boost. And with the very few troops that we have, even though we only have 1 million in commandos and 2,000 tanks, we go ahead, split, and grab Saudi Arabia while still building our troops up. So now we're going to go ahead for our next big play. We have finally gained enough, and South Korea had lost enough to where we could go ahead and start attacking South Korea. Getting South Korea out of the way was a huge play. We did have to peace treaty China a few times, I believe, because of all the war around China. We weren't all the way there with some of the countries in our peace treaties. We did start losing some troops pretty quickly here, but that was pretty much just getting swatted by a lot of different countries, which we do get swatted by a lot of countries, and we get hit with the pot shots pretty frequent in between every country that we invade. As you see, I'm trying to replace all the troops that I'm losing as fast as possible. We're at this point fully maxing our income. We are not going into research as much so that we can quickly keep up with attacking these countries so that we don't run out of troops. Running out of troops once or twice in the game, that's fine. But late into the game, we do not want to run out of troops. That's going to instantly open up for Germany. That's going to instantly open up for India or China to go ahead and take us over. So while we were taking over South Korea, Germany actually attacked us, and it had confused me because I didn't understand why my troops weren't popping up in the original home place that they were by the EU. It was because Germany had actually taken it, and the big problem for me here is that there were a lot of countries that were trying to fight me at once while I was taking care of Germany. I was getting invaded by Brazil. I'm pretty sure India attacked me once. Belgium's fighting me. Indonesia's fighting me. The United Kingdom's fighting me. Half of the countries that are left are trying to fight me at the same time while I am fighting Germany. But one of the best things is we captured a lot of area with some high GDP, and it helped us greatly continue building our troops back up and back up again so that we could keep going against Germany. It wasn't necessarily Germany or any of the countries that were doing anything. Most of the land Germany had is pretty much a disadvantage based off of the layout of the land. And it's something that I don't really think of a whole lot whenever playing the game, that the layout of land actually matters quite a lot, and I really never think about it. There is a whole chart, just like how I mainly use diplomacy maps, because, I mean, being able to see which country hates you in an instant is pretty nice. There is a lot of different advantages, disadvantages that I really haven't even delved into in the game, which is rough, but I mean, it's a lot of these charts, there's just a lot to them. And as you see, we're finally at the point, most of the countries that were fighting me, they have used a lot of their resources. At this point in the game, Germany was at 40%, and we caught them without their troops being active. You can see a lot of movement from a lot of different countries. India's stepping up now to try to take some land. Brazil was doing the same thing. Portugal was taking over Spain at one point, I think. Spain was getting attacked by someone at this time as well. And we go ahead and take over Germany so that we can become number one, at least until China started to really combat us in strength. So at this time, India's looking like the next best choice. And if you've ever taken over India in the beginning, you would know you get an extreme bump whenever it comes to GDP just by taking over the mainland of India. India helps so much. But one of the big problems is we have China, who at this time is stronger than us, trying to go for India as well. Then Portugal is now mad. But at this time, Portugal wasn't really strong enough to make us worry or stress at all. Portugal was actually just down low and couldn't really do anything. But one of the biggest fears was Canada stepping in. One of the big countries at this time, Canada, France, and China were huge. But China was still trying to take over India, and I wanted into the land area of where the United States was. The United States gives the highest amount of GDP. We go ahead and we start peace treatying Brazil. We did it earlier into the game, but at this point, Brazil actually didn't have much fighting power to go. So, just because of the audacity of them being weaker than us and not being able to back it up, we go ahead and run down to Brazil and we take care of Brazil very quickly. Brazil never was able to branch out, and it made it just so much easier. Brazil not being able to branch out basically stops them from becoming a big key player, and then here's China yet again trying to take what is mine. And it's for this reason that China has to go next. We can't let China keep surviving. It's just makes it a terrible idea, to be 100% honest. So we go ahead, we're finishing up Brazil here, we're checking the map, making sure of what's going on, and Canada is getting up there as well, but we need China out of the way. China was too strong at the time, they were in the middle of a war. We go ahead, we sent all of our troops there, they had way more gunners than us, and more commandos, but we at this time had around 50,000 tanks. So we go ahead and peace treaty Canada because they're starting to get a little bit mouthy with us. And we go ahead and hit them with it twice, and it used up all of our money. But we were able to quite quickly take over Canada. By the time, not Canada, we were able to take over China. By the time we took over China, Canada was already at 83% fulfilled GDP, and they were the next and final one to go. France does end up attacking us here shortly. While we're trying to get through it, actually a lot of countries were taking over our land, but because of how strong of a GDP that Canada had, we were able just to win the game off rip. And that's what I absolutely love about this game, is even though if you're below, the second that someone messes up, you can completely overtake the country and put yourself into a extremely strong situation out of nowhere, and it keeps the game moving and changing up. Sometimes there's stalemates, and having a stalemate between a 90,000 tank America and a 60,000 tank China, where with nowhere to go, really is not a fun situation to be in. And it happens every time I'm landlocked between India and China because there's nowhere to go. You're pretty much just biding time, hoping someone messes up and does something that would make it easier for you to get out of the landlocked area, hit a weaker country, and pretty much just move where you're from. So now that we've finally gotten rid of China, China wasn't fully defeated. I was actually scared that all the hard work was going to be lost and that Canada was just going to casually grow and win the game. So China actually makes a decent little comeback. I think they go from 2 to 10% in this little last area, and this is where France is invading us. We built like a 3 million troop side army to just kind of, smack France back. But it didn't happen too well, and that was super unfortunate. But luckily, we were able to win. Luckily, we were able to just go ahead and capture. We're hitting about 87% at this point. And we go for one more blitz on Canada just to be able to end this already. Canada was holding up way longer than what I wanted, and we won. Guys, if you like the videos, subscribe, comment, like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.